The cafe by the sea. Mia was 22 years old and lived in a small town by the sea. Every morning, she walked to work at a cozy cafe near the beach. The cafe was called Ocean Breeze, and tourists loved visiting it during the summer. Mia enjoyed her job. She liked serving coffee, talking to customers, and watching the waves through the large windows. But even though she smiled every day, there was a quiet sadness in her heart. Most of her friends were in relationships, while she had never experienced true love. Sometimes she wondered if she would ever meet someone special. One sunny morning, a young man entered the cafe carrying a backpack and a camera. He looked tired but friendly. He ordered a coffee and sat near the window. Mia noticed that he spent a long time looking at the sea. Before leaving, he smiled and thanked her. The next day he returned. Then the day after that. Soon, Mia realized he was becoming a regular customer. His name was Ethan. He was 25 years old and worked as a travel photographer. He had spent years visiting different countries and taking pictures of beautiful places. During his stay in the town, he wanted to photograph the coastline. Every morning, Ethan ordered the same coffee and sat at the same table. Slowly, he and Mia began talking. At first, their conversations were short. They talked about the weather, the sea, and the tourists who visited the town. But as the days passed, they learned more about each other. Ethan shared stories about his travels. He told Mia about mountains in Switzerland, colorful streets in Italy, and beautiful sunsets in Greece. Mia listened with fascination. She had never traveled far from her hometown. Ethan often joked that he had seen half the world, while Mia knew every corner of their small town. One afternoon, Ethan asked Mia a question. If you could travel anywhere, where would you go? Mia thought for a moment. Paris, she said. I've always wanted to see the Eiffel Tower. Ethan smiled. It's beautiful. But honestly, this town is just as special. Mia laughed. You're probably the only tourist who thinks that. Ethan looked at the sea, outside the window. Sometimes people forget how beautiful their home is because they see it every day. Mia thought about his words long after he left. As the weeks passed, their friendship grew stronger. Ethan often stayed after closing time to help Mia stack chairs or clean tables. They walked along the beach together and watched the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. Mia felt comfortable with him. She could talk about anything. For the first time in years, she looked forward to each day. One evening, while they sat on the sand watching the waves, Ethan showed her some of his photographs. There were pictures from many countries, but Mia noticed something surprising. Several of the newest photos were of her. One showed her laughing behind the cafe counter. Another captured her standing outside with the sea behind her. Ethan looked nervous. I hope you don't mind, he said. Mia smiled. They're beautiful. Ethan looked relieved. You always look happy when you're near the ocean. Mia looked at the photos again. Nobody had ever noticed small things about her like that before. As summer continued, Mia realized she was falling in love. She loved Ethan's kindness, his sense of adventure, and the way he always made her feel important. But there was one problem. Ethan was a traveler. He never stayed in one place for long. Eventually, he would leave. Mia tried not to think about it, but the fear remained. Then one afternoon, Ethan arrived at the cafe looking unusually quiet. Mia immediately knew something was wrong. What's happened? She asked. Ethan sighed. I got a call this morning. Mia waited. A magazine wants me to photograph a project in Australia. Mia forced a smile. That's amazing, Ethan nodded. It is, but it means leaving next month. Those words felt like a heavy stone in her chest. For the rest of the day, neither of them mentioned it again. During the following weeks, they spent even more time together. They explored every corner of the town. They visited hidden beaches and climbed cliffs overlooking the sea. Both knew time was running out. Yet neither had the courage to talk about their feelings. Finally, the day before Ethan's departure arrived. That evening he invited Mia to meet him on the beach at sunset. The sky was clear and the sea was calm. Mia found Ethan standing near the water. He held a small photo album in his hands. "I made this for you," he said. Mia opened it. Inside were photographs from the summer. Pictures of the cafe, the beach, the town, and many moments they had shared together. On the last page was a photo of Mia smiling. Underneath it, Ethan had written a message. Mia read the words slowly. "Of all the places I have visited, you are my favorite." Tears filled her eyes. She looked up at him. Ethan took a deep breath. "Mia, I've traveled for years because I was always searching for something." He smiled softly. "I think I finally found it." Mia's heart raced. Ethan stepped closer. "I love you." For a moment, the world seemed silent except for the sound of the waves. Then Mia smiled through her tears. "I love you too." Ethan laughed with relief and wrapped his arms around her. The sunset glowed behind them as they stood together on the beach. A month later, Ethan left for Australia. Saying goodbye was difficult, but they promised to stay together. They called each other every day and visited whenever possible. 1 year later, Ethan returned to the seaside town. This time, he was not carrying only a backpack and a camera. He was carrying a ring. On the same beach where they had first confessed their feelings, Ethan asked Mia to marry him. She said yes before he could even finish the question. Years later, they would tell their children the story of how they met in a small cafe by the sea. And every time they told it, Ethan would smile and say the same thing. "I traveled around the world looking for something special, but the best thing I ever found was waiting for me in a little cafe beside the ocean."